We're dealing with a 2006 Scion Xb. It did not pass emissions this last time. Check engine light was on. The codes were PO 134 and 133. No activity and slow activity on the O2 sensor, bank 1, sensor 1. And from my research, that's the front O2 sensor. So we ordered some new ones. It said to replace them in pairs. So here are the O2 sensors. They are in front of and downstream of the catalytic converter underneath. These are from Rock Auto. The pair together shipped to my house is about $100, a little over $100. And confirmed they match with what's been taken out. And we'll get under the car and take a look at where they came from. Okay, under the car here, this is the catalytic converter. It's just, the first thing you hit coming off the engine here. And if you look in the piping, there's a fitting here for the back O2 sensor, and then one on this side for the front one. This is the one that technically was bad on mine, according to the check engine light. They come off with a 22 millimeter socket or box wrench. I soaked mine in WD-40 for a couple of days here to make sure it softened it up a little bit. And then you have to unplug the harnesses. One plugs in through, you go in through the body of the car here, right in front of this bracket, this holder. There's a hole that's going into the body in by the shifter, and it plugs in there. So you have to kind of take the cover off the shifter. You unplug that. There's a rubber grommet that passes through. You work that out of the hole so the whole thing is hanging down here. You can slip the box wrench over. And then once I got the box wrench on, I let it soak for a couple days on the WD-40. Then it didn't take too many hard hits with a hammer on the box wrench, and it came free. It wasn't too bad. You don't have to go nuts on it. It'll come free. And the front one is, there's a plug up here. I'll try to get a picture of it. Let's see. You can see up there it is. So there's a plug on a little clip backside of the engine that the front one plugs into. And you just got to reach in there and hold the tab that clicks it in so that you can pull the plug apart. And if you look at the sensors, here's the old one. If it'll show up, there's a little bit of a compression type washer on there. And the new ones have a new one, and underneath this plastic shipment cover, they provide just a little smear of anti-seize compound on there. So if you get ones that don't come with that, you're supposed to put a little bit of anti-seize on there on the threads, but don't let it get on the sensor, because that, I guess, messes it up. So make sure you got some anti-seize on the threads before you spin them in. Okay, here's the front O2 sensor. You want to make sure you don't bang that tip there. So as we're passing it in here, we want to be careful. Get it started here now. There it goes. And the instructions say to get it in there like finger tight, and then put the wrench on or your socket and then take it another quarter turn, and that'll be tight enough. Okay, so I got the box wrench on now. We've got it finger tight, and now let's just make it a quarter turn. That's good enough. Okay, I got the back one spun in and tightened that quarter turn, and now we got to pass the rest of the harness through that hole we talked about in the body here. But now if you'll see, this grommet is what seals, you know, rain and snow from getting up in there. But you see it's wider on the part going into the car than the piece that's outside of the car. So once we pass it up there, we're gonna have to, you know, pinch our fingers and try and get this bigger lip through that hole so it seals up. So that's gonna be a kind of a pain, because it was a pain to take that out from the inside. So, and you can't pass it through from the inside of the car out first, you know, because you gotta be able to spin this. If this is in place, you're not gonna be able to spin this in. You're gonna twist the crap out of your wires here. So you got to put it in, and now we'll have to pass it up through this hole. So let's go inside and take a look at what that is. Okay, inside the car here, you got to take this cover off the shifter, and to gain access, I unbolted my seat and kind of shimmied it out of the way. And then on the center console, by this back cup holder, there's a bolt way down below there. You take that out so you can lift this up. And then on the front side, this front is held in. See this hole right here? Where is it? Right there. See that hole there? There's one on the other side. And the front of the center console has a couple little plastic cleats that snap in there. So you'll have to, you know, take that bolt out the back of the console, and then get in here with a screwdriver or your fingers or whatever, and just pop this up and pry that. So that's what you're fighting against in the front side. These little cleats go in that hole. So now we can lift that up. Put this. Okay, so then under here, there's some plugs and stuff. And the one we're after is this one right here. Is where our rear O2 sensor was plugged in. And then if I pull this carpet back, let's see if we can get a look at it. If I pull this carpet back, there's a hole in the body. Oh boy, it's way down there. I don't know if you can even see that. I'll try to get a good picture of it here. What the heck? There it is. I'm sorry. There's the hole way down there. So we've got to pass that sensor up through that, work that grommet in there, and then pass the sensor up and plug it into this harness. So that's kind of what you're dealing with here. Okay, here's the final installation of the front one. And we're plugged back into the harness, and as you push it in, there's a nice positive click to know you're in far enough. And then the backside one, there's our wire, and then it passes through that hole in the body, and you kind of work the gasket in through the hole, and seals up. Make sure your lip is nice and uniform around there. Make sure you're sealed up so you don't want snow and ice and water getting up in there. Okay, here we are back inside under the gear shifter. We're plugged back into our harness and our grommet. This is how it should look when we're done on the inside here. That's what the grommet looks like. Alright, we finished the installation of the O2 sensors. And if we start up here and get up in the sunlight, you can see my check engine light is still on. So hopefully if we drive it around a couple trips, that's going to clear itself. Okay, I drove it for about 15 minutes down the road, stopped at a gas station, went inside, came back out, started it up, and the code is clear. So we are good to go.